Cannot refuse you, James, I think. Thanks a lot for that great introduction, and also thanks to our MC Chris somewhere, who gave me a very, very generous introduction before, and I'm indebted to you that you presented me as much sportier than the previous speaker. And it is true that I love biking. Unfortunately, I don't bike too much here in Uganda. I used to cycle to work in Khartoum and also in Gaborone, but the traffic here is a bit too tense, I think. But I can reveal to you that on Saturday I bicycled to my hairdresser to get my hair done, and I have bicycled also in the Lake Mburu National Park and by Lake Victoria. There are wonderful places to visit here if you want to try some cycling. But let me now get back to my remarks and just greet the possible representatives of the Ugandan government that may be here. And of course, the executive director of the Uganda National NGO Forum, Dr. Moses Isoba. Or should we call you Dr. I'm not David Isoba? What did you say? You made a... previous speaker, GIZ Country Director for Uganda, Mr. James Macbeth Forbes. Also representatives of development partners, Team Europe, my own team here, civil society, of course, needless to say, representatives, so many here, academia and the private sector. I realize there are now high expectations about artificial intelligence in my speech, but I do think, like James, that it's mainly thanks to my great team at the delegation that I have interesting things to say here today. But I do believe that artificial intelligence is very important, and I was glad to see that in your program here you discussed this morning, I think, digital platforms. I'm not sure how far you took it, but I think otherwise it's a good idea to perhaps add artificial intelligence to next year's convention. So I do think it can also be of great use to civil society. Actually, while I was listening here, I asked for a comment from ChatGPT, who sends greetings to you all and says that artificial intelligence will not replace civil society. That's good. But it can help civil society to reach further, faster, and louder. So that's something to think of, and the personal advice is that when you get those incredibly boring call for proposals forms from the EU or GIZ, you should definitely use AI to fill them in. I think it will at least save you a lot of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great pleasure to join you here at the end of the National CSO Convention 2025, hosted here by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Uganda National NGO Forum. And I extend my gratitude to all the organizers of this convention, which unites civil society from all across Uganda. And as we now close the National Civil Society Convention this year, I wish really to take the opportunity now to reflect on the past 2 days of extremely rich dialogue, learning, and collective commitment. And I also apologize, like James Macbeth did, that I could not be here with you those 2 days, but I'm very grateful that I could attend this concluding session and get a sort of a quick feedback from the discussions. They seem to have been very fruitful indeed. So I know now that together you have examined the evolving context shaping the work of civil society in Uganda, and that there have been really open discussions about the challenges, but more importantly also about the pathways for resilience, innovation, and collaboration. And thanks to the nice slide show here, I also know that sustainability and youth figured greatly in the discussions and the conclusions. I know there was a lot of deep engagement also on other themes, including the collaboration in delivery of NDP 4, recognizing that the success of Uganda's fourth National Development Plan will depend on how effectively government, civil society, the private sector, and development partners can work hand in hand to contribute to Uganda's long-term vision. You also discussed the regulatory frameworks, finding the balance between compliance, operational autonomy, and constructive partnerships with government. I saw that financial sustainability also came out in the conclusions strongly, meaning strengthening local philanthropy and forging innovative partnerships. And also then finally the digital transformation was discussed, leveraging technology in a rapidly changing world, and my proposal would then be to include that even further in next year's convention. I would like to believe that these discussions have provided a space for institutional and individual reflection for action-oriented outcomes. So what is now the European Union's contribution to civil society in Uganda? Well, the European Union has a long history of civil society engagement, as you know, and recognizes civil society as a cornerstone of democracy, good governance, and inclusive development. So it is through strong and independent civil society organizations that communities are empowered, governments held accountable, as James Macbeth just said, and citizens' voices amplified. And this goes for Germany as well as for Uganda and all other countries. That is how we see it. So over the years, the European Union has collaborated with civil society in areas such as human rights, accountability, access to justice, gender equality, youth empowerment, and climate action, to mention a few. We also engage with civil society during electoral processes, a topical issue right now, I think, as it does have, the civil society does have a role to play in reducing election-related conflict dynamics and promoting a peaceful electoral environment. So ahead of the 2026 general elections, we are notably working with media, youth, and women, alongside political parties, security actors, and other government entities to contribute to a conducive environment for holding elections. And you may have seen the project that we launched just the other week, Tuongea Let Us Talk project, which will be a countrywide as a campaign. They will travel actually with a bus, I think, call it a caravan, and do local dialogues with the different stakeholders across Uganda. I think hopefully an important contribution, I think, to the holding of peaceful elections. Our civil society engagement is guided by the 2012 communication, it's an EU communication, called The Roots of Democracy and Sustainable Development, which is the basis for the EU CSO roadmap that we work with here at the delegation level in Kampala and Uganda. And the CSO roadmap aims to strengthen CSO engagement and will be updated now to anchor the global gateway investments that we spoke about with a 360-degree approach. And I want to confirm that you will be thoroughly consulted in the process of updating the roadmap, and it will also be shared with all of you. So as my colleague here, Jakob Haushofer, just highlighted in his dedicated session, thanks for holding that, Jacob, this afternoon, we are scaling up our investment in Uganda through the Global Gateway framework with a focus on renewable energy, green infrastructure, and digitalization. And we're also very happy that your Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Honorable Nanka Birwa, will actually travel next week to Brussels, where there will be the Global Gateway Forum, where she can then discuss with the European Union, but also with her counterparts from African countries, and actually countries all over the globe, about these important issues that Jacob described. And we also, to take an example that you might already have taken, is the Chiranalubale hydropower plants, which we will hopefully be able to finance so that they can be rehabilitated and safeguard the clean energy production in the long run. So this will be discussed by the minister as well in Brussels. The Global Gateway Framework goes beyond physical investments, as you heard. It's also about strengthening governance and institutional foundations to ensure that these efforts deliver real benefits for the people they are intended to serve. And you, civil society, you play a central role in this process, providing oversight, advocating for citizens' interests, and acting as a vital bridge between communities and government. I'm also happy to see that it sparked interest for issues such as the critical raw materials, which Uganda is richly endowed with, and will hopefully serve to also spark its economic development. And then the value addition comes into this. And I think what you mentioned is a very good ambition, to have a kind of a factory that could bring value addition to the raw materials here. I think I have to say that before we have a factory that produces electric batteries next to the lithium mine in Uganda, it will take time, because there's a lot needed here, like the right training, education, simply human resources to manage that. But it's a very good ambition, and I can tell you that yesterday, that's actually why I couldn't come for the opening here. I was opening an event where we had representatives from 5 European countries coming to Kampala, from the geological survey institutions of those countries, to discuss with the Ugandan side, with the ministry. Minister Nyamotoro was there herself, and also the experts, the geological study authorities here in Uganda, to make sure precisely what you say, that the wealth that you have here can be explored in a win-win situation between Uganda and interested entities abroad. I think that is an important first step. And the project will bring about a mapping of where you have your resources, but also training, including mentorship and postgraduate studies for Ugandans, so that you can build a cadre of expertise in Uganda that will in the end know how to add that value that you are asking about. So I think it's a very good ambition. Please ask always that question when you are at these meetings. It's very important. Yes. So we also, from the EU side, we remain a steadfast partner in promoting multi-stakeholder dialogue. And this convention is obviously an example of how, by bringing together government, civil society, the private sector, and development partners, we can chart a shared vision for Uganda's future with a focus on civil society. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish to extend sincere appreciation to the Uganda National NGO Forum, the National Bureau for NGOs, GIZ, and the Civil Society in Uganda Support Program. We have, I think, you are doing an incredibly important work here in this country, James, and also Moses. So thanks a lot for being here and organizing all of this. And also to all the other participants, keynote speakers and panelists, thank you for your openness, your expertise, and your willingness to engage constructively. So I encourage all of us to carry forward the momentum of these deliberations and translate them into concrete action. Civil society must continue to innovate, adapt, and stand united in its mission to serve communities and safeguard civic space. The European Union stands ready to continue walking this journey with you, and we see the future of civil society in Uganda as something that we are collectively shaping here today and in the years to come. So let us harness the opportunities before us in global frameworks such as the EU Global Gateway. And on behalf of the European Union and the entire Team Europe, I thank you for your dedication, your partnership and your unwavering commitment. I wish you all safe travels as you go back, fruitful follow-ups and continued success in your vital work. Thank you. And before perhaps I say thank you, I was supposed to say something, was I? I was supposed to look a bit theatrical and point here, and I would say, let me now unveil. Or was that so? Let me now unveil. Obviously, I'm unveiling the future of civil society, I think. That's exciting. Is that all I should do? That's all I should do. Well, then I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure.